So my name is Eliseo Nunez. I'm 38 years old. I grew up in Oceanside, California. Grew up within a very big family, apostolic Christian, family very involved. Church started in the garage, people being baptized there, always Bible study, kids being anointed. So that was kind of the first generation from Sinaloa, Mexico. So growing up, in my mind, I kind of felt like I needed to have a choice. And I feel like the enemy lied to me, and growing up I looked at having a relationship with God as a weakness. Somebody I looked up to growing up was my dad. Growing up, even before I started using substances, I would see him in and out of prison. You know, I would see him come out of prison buff. He would have stories, and for me, and the way my mind captivated it, I always looked at my dad as a safe person. So I looked up to him, and I looked up to that lifestyle. I kind of glorified it, and that's kind of how my mind started molding into the street life. Man, day in, day out, my grandpa was definitely the best example I could ever ask for. You know, leading by example, you know, Bible studies at home, and always growing up, you know, being anointed by oil, and just seeing my grandparents praying all night for all of us. But my personal relationship wasn't there at all. You know, I think my lifestyle, my substance abuse, kind of went hand in hand, because I wasn't just addicted to the substance, I was actually addicted to the street lifestyle, running with the gang, and just that lifestyle in general. You know, it was an addiction, it was a rush, and it went hand in hand. And it was only a matter of time until I did end up in juvenile hall at the age of 16 was the first time I got incarcerated. Sometimes I would get out and get locked up the same day, or, you know, last maybe a day or two. And so from 16 to 18, and then from 18 as an adult, I started doing time in the county jails, and from there moved on up to state prison. Something that never changed was, no matter where I was in life, was that my family would always bring Christ to me. I remember my sister would come to the county jail, and she would read the word, she would pray with me, and that never changed. Their love towards me, no matter where I was in my addiction, never changed. And that was probably just a little seed that was planted. I wasn't ready to change. It took me about 13 years of being in and out of prison and drug use to kind of look at my life and be like, hey, you know, where am I going? I think my mentality really looked at having a relationship, and this is just my personal story, having a relationship with God was a weakness, because I compared it to, you know, this world is a dangerous place. I need to be able to protect myself, and my identity was the street. It was putting fear in people. For the prison gang that I ran with, one of the things that we would do is we would study up on, you know, our history, our ancestors. And the Mexica Aztecs used to sweat. They used to have sweat lodges, and I used to go in there, and it'd been years since I prayed, had any type of prayer life. And I remember one time my sister visited me, and I was telling her, and I was proud. I was like, you know what, I'm praying, I'm going to the sweat lodge. And my sisters are like, you don't need to go in there and suffer. You know, Jesus already paid the price for you. And I was like, you know, I received that. This was the last time I went to prison, and when I got locked up, I told myself that that's it. I'm gonna dedicate this term to Jesus. And lo and behold, my cellmate was a devoted Christian. Every day, Bible study. And there was a moment where they would have people come the prison from the outside. And I remember the person giving the Bible study snuck in some oil, and she was praying over us. And it'd been decades since anybody has prayed over me with oil. And in front of everybody in the prison, in the chow hall, when that oil touched my forehead, I broke down and started speaking in tongues in prison. And from that moment on, I knew that God has never left my side. Well, coming into being a husband and coming in to be a father, it was, for me, I needed to be clean. I needed to be level-headed. I needed to have an established relationship with the Lord. And it was the beginning of, you know, what I call, you know, my golden years, man. This is what I was designed. This is what God designed me for. You know, God designed me to lead a wife. God designed me to lead my household, my children. That God trusted me to raise her. It's a job, it's a duty, it's my calling. And it's a blessing, it's a gift to be able to do that, to be able to pray over my kids, to, you know, one of the reasons why I brought her was to, you know, show her that, you know, we give back to the community, we, you know, we love God and we put God first, and, you know, we do things like this, and that's one of the reasons why I brought her. I think I shared this with the group, you know, one of the times, and where they were talking about, you know, Saul, also known as Paul, and in the word it says Saul, comma, also known as Paul. And something that stayed with me about that sermon was that God never uses periods. You know, he's never done with you. You know, so for me and my addiction, you know, the street lifestyle, comma, the going to prison, comma, the trying to get clean, comma, the family members, you know, coming to read the word to me in prison, comma, you know, it's God never uses periods, and it doesn't matter where you are in your walk. You know, it's the next chapter, you know, as long as the Lord is with you, it's going to be good, it's going to be beautiful. You're going to continue to grow and blossom into, you know, the person we were designed to be, you know.